Visions of the Black Heaven, written by Daniel Zien, read by Daniel Zien. Chapter 3. The alarm clock chimed softly at 5 a.m. Getting up, Wayne looked out the bedroom window to see a normal winter Monday morning. It was cold outside, still dark. Last night's snow glistened in the moonlight. Walking to the kitchen, he logged onto his computer before making his coffee. Several messages appeared. Clever advertisements, production reports of the second shift he was expecting, and another message that read, "Test," on the subject line. Out of curiosity, he did a security scan on the email and went to make his coffee. The security scan verified the email was virus-free while he enjoyed his coffee. Clicking on the message, he read, "I saw your profile and thought I would send you a message and see if we could chat." He clicked on the link. A picture appeared with her profile. She attempted to describe herself with, "Hi, my name is Melody, and I'm a woman of..." He sat there looking into the eyes of a woman who found him attractive. Her eyes appeared to sparkle with energy, seemingly alive and looking directly at him. Saving Melody's email, he went on to other issues needing his attention. Before getting ready for work, he went to his exercise room. Lying down, he started bench pressing weights. His mind went back to Melody's email. He saw her image in his mind's eye and felt his arms start to hurt, realizing he had forgot to count his reps and done more than he had planned. Next, he prepared his mind through a morning ritual of stretching and balance, through Eastern jiu-jitsu exercises. He stood in the defensive stance. His arms swung one way, his feet swung another, performing the routine to perfection. Yet with each concentration on the exercise, he could not get her image out of his mind. He started the next set of exercises. Exercises a friend had taught him. He could almost hear Caleb's voice shouting, pushing him past the limits he thought were possible, perfecting the concentration of the Eastern jiu-jitsu training. He heard Caleb's voice shout in that high-pitched tone, "Again! Again! Harder! Harder! Don't slow down! Let it hurt! The pain says you're still alive!" Caleb and Wayne were friends in the military together. He was 10 inches taller and outweighed Caleb by almost 100 pounds. Caleb had 2 black belts in martial arts. He remembered the day Caleb had a grin on his face and asked Wayne to spar with him. Caleb taught him techniques to get the most out of his actions with the least amount of effort. It didn't matter how fast he had learned, Caleb was always faster, quicker, better. He always seemed to end up on the floor with Caleb standing over him. He remembered Caleb saying, "You're getting better, but you have a lot to learn." After his workout, he went to shower and get ready for work. The usual problems awaited him at the office. Productions not scheduled, truck drivers calling off, deadlines not met, raw materials delayed. A major snowstorm in Wyoming shut down the railroad, holding up his supply of materials. Customers wanting the impossible, board members demanding increased output, reduced production and labor cost, getting ready for end of the month, end of the quarter. A typical day at the office. Yet when he looked away from his desk, he saw her face. He logged onto his computer, his personal email, and read her message. Her face filled the screen. Her smile, her eyes illuminated his office with her energy, excitement, and enthusiasm. Replying to her message, he tried to think of what to say. He typed, "Yes, it is," then sent a message. He mumbled to himself, "I'll never hear from her again." Looking at his schedule, he reminded himself, "I have a production meeting in 10 minutes. This is going to be ugly. My extrusion is stuck in a container in Wyoming. More extrusion is stuck on the truck somewhere." I warned Bill that the purchasing manager buying that overseas stock was a bad idea. The transportation cost alone will eat up the savings. These delays are his problem, not mine. He called Bill. "What are we going to do about that overseas stock? We have a meeting in 10 minutes, and I don't want to have my ass handed to me on a silver platter. Find a small amount of stock, enough to keep us going until the overseas stock arrives. He heard all the department heads give their reports, yet everywhere he looked, he saw her eyes, her smile, her hair. The meeting ended ugly, the company president pounding his fist on the table, giving the same tired, "I want results, not excuses" speech. He thought to himself, how many times have we heard that tired speech? I can hardly wait until he retires. Then I'll probably get that job, and we'll really turn this company around. Back in his office, he logged onto the computer. It showed a notification of a new email. Without checking for viruses, he clicked on the icon. It read, "Hi, I'm Melody." The video link showed her standing by a Jeep holding a soapy rag and a hose of running water, wearing a pair of yellow shorts and a white halter top. She had filmed this on a warm summer day. She must be washing her car, Wayne thought. She owns a yellow Jeep Wrangler X. Huh, that's ironic. I own a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon Unlimited. He looked at her picture. She appeared to be about 5'9" tall, had silky, shoulder-length blonde hair, and had an athletic figure. Replying to her message, he wrote, "Hello, Melody. Glad you messaged me. Let's meet at Zeno's." He gave her the address. "Let's meet at about 7 o'clock Friday evening. I'll be there waiting on you. This is on me." He sent the message and smiled. Melody messaged accepting his invitation. Wayne had spent the week cleaning and dusting his house just in case. After work, he cleaned up, put on a new pair of Levi's 501s, a long-sleeve flannel-type shirt, a pair of cowboy boots, a brown leather vest, and a brushed leather sports coat. Arriving at Zeno's, he realized he'd not told her what kind of car he'd drive. He looked for her yellow Jeep. Melody saw him drive up as he parked next to her. Their eyes met. She lowered her head and smiled and looked up again in that flirting way that women have a way of doing. He could feel Melody's blue eyes watching him as he parked and walked to her. He saw her blonde hair flow in the wind as he opened her door. Their eyes met. He introduced himself and offered his arm to escort her into Zeno's. "How tall are you?" she asked. He blushed a little and smiled. "Well, in my boots, I stand about 6'7". Still looking at him, she said, "You're much better looking in person." Looking into her eyes, he smiled and nodded a thank you as he opened her door. They walked into an elegant, romantically lit dining room, decorated with red carpet, and took a seat at a table with white satin tablecloth and fine china, with a full complement of silverware settings. Waiting for a waitress, they had the usual small talk, occupation, recreation, hobbies, dreams, common interests in Jeeps, on and off-roading, desires to go to Moab, Utah and do some real off-roading. Melody had mentioned she liked country music and wanted to learn how to dance the two-step. After waiting for 30 minutes for the waitress, Wayne got frustrated and suggested that they go to another place that had live country music, much better service, and they can dance the two-step all night long. He offered to drive. "I have a hardtop. It gets warmer quicker." Melody smiled, agreeing. Driving to the west side of Indianapolis, Wayne could feel her looking at him out of the corner of her eye. He was wondering what she was thinking. He parked at the 8-Second Saloon, the local country and western dance bar. He smiled as he escorted Melody to the front door of the rustic-looking building. Melody noticed the attendants were dressed in cowboy outfits as they checked their IDs and as Wayne paid the cover charge. Walking in, Wayne shared waves of hello with the band members as they were warming up for the night's performance. He explained that the band members were friends of his. Melody was amazed. The place looked like it was once a roller rink. The dance floor was in the middle of the room. The dining area circled outside the dance floor and was separated by a half wall. The bar was almost the full length of the building, and the band played on a stage that was much closer to the crowd than any other place she'd ever seen. The hardwood floor was covered with a thin layer of sawdust. The aroma of fresh-cut wood gave it a romantic Western feel. Melody noticed another aroma of fresh leather, giving the place a rustic Western cowboy scent. Melody watched Wayne reach into a barrel of peanuts, grab a handful, crack the hulls open, and ate the nuts, and then threw the empty shells on the floor. There were others doing the same thing. It must be the way they do things here, she thought. People were already dancing a long line dance that was popular several years ago. He held her hand and led her to the table. What puzzled Melody was that wherever they walked, people just seemed to step out of their way and let them by. It was not that Wayne was expecting this. Wayne was a big man. People seemed to be either respectful or intimidated by him. She was not sure if he even realized it. They put their coats down. He handed the waitress a $20 bill and said, "Watch our things. There'll be more later." Melody put her purse in her coat as Wayne led her out to the dance floor, saying, "Best time to learn anything's right now." "Right now?" she laughed. The band noticed them walking out to the dance floor and started playing a song just for them. The band smiled as he showed her how to do the two-step. He took Melody in his arms, holding one hand high on her shoulder and one hand on her lower hip. And they watched as he did the steps. 1 step right, 2 step left, 3 step right. She watched her feet as they moved. She picked it up quickly, and before they knew it, they were dancing to every kind of song the band played. She was having a great time. After a few songs and getting the hang of dancing, they started walking back to the table. Wayne noticed Melody looking at the specialty stores. They smelled the scent of leather goods. It was still early, and she could see that Melody was not really dressed for a country western dance. He saw a look of longing in her eyes, a look of almost feeling out of place, and not being dressed for the occasion. He smiled as he turned directions, leading Melody to the back where the stores were at. They walked into a specialty store. The aroma of Western wear filled the air. She was amazed at the variety of clothes available. Melody had an expression of bewilderment as he said, "Look around. A real cowgirl has to look like a cowgirl." He watched her walk past the racks of cowgirl dresses, cowgirl shirts, watching her eyes as her hand touched the clothes. She had a dreamy look of seeing herself in a dress and dancing. She looked at a red dress with a white blouse and a black suede vest to go over her shoulders. "Go try it on," he said. "You'll look great in it." She had a look of surprise on her face. Walking to the dressing room, she looked back with a big smile that said, "I'll be right back." She came back to the dressing room looking great. Wayne thought she needed something else. She needed a cowgirl hat and some cowgirl boots. Paying for the dress, he walked her to the hat and boot store. She looked at him in astonishment, not believing what was happening. Looking at several boots, she chose a black pair with red-tipped shoes. But the hat took a little longer. Trying on several hats, she chose a black one and had Wayne get him a white one. He looked her in the eye, and she appeared to be a different woman. She had a spring to her step. Her hair flitted behind her as she walked. She had a new wiggle to her walk. Her dress flitted with each stride. It was evident that she felt like $1,000,000. Wayne could not believe his eyes. "You look great," he said. She curtsied and said, "Thank you, kind sir," put her arm through his as they walked to their table. Wayne could feel the other men looking at her, wondering where this stunning cowgirl had come from. The waitress came back, taking their orders: 2 hamburgers, drinks, and fries. They sat listening to the music, enjoying each other's presence, watching the others dance and have a good time as they waited for their order. It was as if time existed for them. They looked into each other's eyes. Their spirits were talking, laughing, and dancing together in silence. They barely noticed the waitress bring their food. Wayne handed her a $50 bill and told her to keep the change. They continued talking, laughing, watching as the other dancers enjoyed each other's presence. Melody's drink spilled all over her, drunk, bumped into their table. In an instant, He sprang into action, ready to defend this woman, his woman. Teeth clenched, fists doubled, eyes wide open. The hair in the back of his neck was standing straight up. "You idiot! Why did you do that?" Then, as fast as he jumped up, he realized the man was just drunk. No harm was intended. So he reached out to steady the old man, told him to be more careful, patted his back, and sent him on his way. Melody was astonished. What she had just seen in the past few seconds would take a lifetime to explain, and would be remembered for the rest of her life. She was flattered, astonished at his assertiveness, confidence, and agility, and wondered to herself if this man was too good to be true, or... Wayne helped Melody gently brush the spilled drink off of her clothes. Not knowing what to say, she felt herself blushing and took the napkin from him. She heard herself say, "Oh, it's okay. It was only an accident." The band saw what had happened and realized nothing came of the excitement, but started playing a slow song to change the mood anyway. Wayne whispered something into the ear of the leader of the band, then took Melody's hand, leading her back out to the dance floor. He looked into Melody's eyes and said, "Remember how to do this?" Melody smiled and nodded yes. They danced as if they were two people becoming one, moving in unison with the music. Then, as if it were a rehearsed move, Wayne raised his arm, stepping back and allowing Melody to twirl. She spun and felt like an angel in slow motion. She felt her hair lift. She saw Wayne's face pass with each turn. Wayne pulled her back to him. Following his lead, she stepped back into his arms. The song ended. The band leader announced, "By request from a friend of ours, this next song is dedicated to his date, Melody." She looked into his eyes, not knowing what to say. She felt like the most important woman in the world right then. The band started playing. The lead sang in a deep baritone voice. She felt the deep resonance of his voice through his chest as he sang in her ear. She wanted to say something, a thank you for coming to her rescue, but she was not sure how to bring it up. Stepping closer into his arms, she whispered, "Thank you," in his ear. Wayne gave her a warm smile, then held her a little closer. The song ended. She looked into his eyes. "Thank you. That was wonderful." He heard someone calling his name. Rich, his assistant from the plant, and Pam, his wife, walked up. Rich was shaking his hand and nodding to Melody. "Duke, I saw what happened. Why, that drunk almost ran her over." Duke introduced Melody as his date. While the men were talking, Pam led Melody to the ladies' room. "So, you're the one everyone's talking about." Melody gave Pam a quizzical look, as she was not sure what she meant. "Yes," Pam said. "The whole office is ablaze with this rumor that the most eligible bachelor in the county has a lady friend. Rich says that he sometimes walks into his office to find Duke sitting at his desk just staring into space. And everyone knows he runs to his computer to check his email, but no one knows anything about you. I can see why Duke is so starstruck. You are gorgeous. We saw you two dancing. You make a great-looking couple. Oh, let's get back to the men. They'll be missing us in a minute." Pam talked so fast that Melody could not get a word in edgewise. Melody just smiled and said, "Thank you." Rich was patting his boss on the back. "I knew you were fast, but I didn't know you were that fast." The gals walked up. Hearing the conversation, Melody stood next to her date and looked at him with a starry-eyed look. She smiled and said, "Yes, he's my hero." Melody grabbed his arm, saying, "Come on, Duke. We have some dancing to do." They walked to the dance floor. The band started playing a fashion song. Melody kept in step with Wayne, looking at him, smiling. "Why do they call you Duke?" He felt himself blush. "Well, you see, it's a nickname. They say I talk like John Wayne and I walk like John Wayne, and, well, because my first name is Wayne, I'm sure you can follow the reasoning." Melody giggled. Duke, I like that. It fits you. The drunken cowboy was still stumbling around, bumping into other tables. He bumped into another lady. Her date got up, clenched his fist, and drew his arm back. Duke took a few steps and grabbed the cocked arm, saving the drunk from a face-splitting blow. He saw another swing coming straight at him. He stepped aside. The swing missed. Then he gently pushed the attacker aside, allowing him to fall to the floor. The drugstore cowboy got up, his hat sitting crooked on his head, fists clenched, ready to fight. The bouncer saw what had happened and escorted the drugstore cowboy to his table with a warning. Settle down or get out. The drunk looked at Duke and thanked him, then stumbled out of sight. Melody stood on the dance floor, watching all this, amazed at his agility, his courage, and compassion for the drunk, and willingness to defend someone he knew nothing about. The event only took a few seconds. Duke came back to the dance floor, and they danced a few more songs. Then it was closing time. Finding the waitress, Duke tipped her another $20 for watching her things. It's cold outside, and I'll get the Rubicon and meet you at the front door, he said. Melody smiled and nodded in agreement.